Today, we're going to scratch the itch. We're going to scratch the plein air itch. Now, this is a special day. This is a special program. This is not a normal Art School Live. We'll still play the opening and all that stuff and pretend that it's normal. But today I have a guest on, and we're going to talk about plein air painting and the joys of plein air painting, but also we're going to answer all the burning questions that I get all the time about how do I do it? Where do I begin? How do I start? All of that kind of stuff. So today's really just kind of a general discussion about plein air painting. We want you to bring your questions in. We want you to go into the comments, tell us where you're from. We're going to just randomly talk about plein air painting, but let's get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads.
So I'm not on my normal Art School Live set today because I needed to be able to bring in some gear to be able to talk to you. I have here beside me, I have all the gear that I take with me when I'm plein air painting. And so we're going to talk a little bit about gear, about preparation, about anything and everything you need to know about doing it. And my guest is going to be Carrie Curran. Carrie is an experienced artist. She teaches our plein air basics course every year at the plein air convention. Come on board, Carrie. Let's get you involved in that. Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
So when did you
start having me, Eric?
You're very welcome. When did you start plein air painting?
I started plein air painting. Oh my gosh. I took Matt Smith. I don't know if you know Matt Smith. If everybody knows Matt Smith, he's our premier Arizona plein air painter and known internationally. It was probably 1994. So
Okay.
many years. I was introduced to plein air painting, however, by my mother when I was a little girl, and she would take her canvas up on the Indiana dunes on Lake Michigan and paint the scenes from the dunes there. And we got to see her plein air paintings exhibited in our local bank.
Wow.
So I knew about plein air painting. I didn't know what it was called or anything, but she was doing it in the 50s.
We kind of helped that along. I had Frank Ordez on yesterday. He said, nobody called it plein air painting until you launched Plein Air magazine.
Yeah, it was painting outdoors.
But of course they did. You know, it's been, that's a term that kind of came up in the Impressionist era. I had forgotten we had that whole Indiana thing in common.
Yeah.
So I started plein air painting when my wife kicked me out of the house. I had been taking art lessons from a local guy and learning to paint, and I was doing portraits and landscapes. But when she got pregnant with the triplets, the smell of the oils and the paint and stuff were just too much for her to handle, and it made her nauseous. So she said, you got to get all the paint out of the house. And she also said, you might as well give up painting because you're not going to have time.
Yeah.
I said, well, you know, a day without painting is like a day without oxygen. It's not an option for me. So I took my studio easel, a box, a chair, and a big canvas and a whole bunch of other stuff out to the corner of the golf course. We lived near the golf course and had this view. And I tried to paint this with all that stuff. Of course, it was the bugs were biting me and the wind blew the canvas off and the sun was too bright and the painting was terrible. I still have it. And
I kept my first one too.
Well, I'm going to put my first plein air painting in the new National Museum of Plein Air Painting. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I didn't know it was called plein air painting, and it took a while for me to get into it too. And then when I started realizing some other people were doing it, I thought there should be a magazine. So I started Plein Air magazine probably over 20 years ago. And so the rest, as they say, is history. At the time, there were 3 plein air events in America. I don't think there were more than that. And today there are probably 500, 600, 700 all over the world. And it's just a huge phenomenon. John Stern from the Irvine Museum says that it's the largest movement in the history of art. And I call it the new golf because I think it's, we get outdoors, we're creative, we're social, we're with people, we're challenged, and we're having a great time being creative. So today, what I want to do, Carrie, is I want to go through some of the things that you teach at the Plein Air Basics course at
Sure.
convention, we will offer everybody here a special discount to the convention today because you're watching. But the purpose of this is to get you excited about plein air painting or to answer your questions. And we would love it if you're a plein air painter to go into the chat and say how long you've been plein air painting, or if you're new, or if you've got questions, just bring them to us. What I want to do, Carrie, is I want to start out and I want to emphasize, I am not promoting any particular brands. I have different brands. I probably own 20 easels. Every time somebody comes out with a new one, they either send it to me or I buy it. Excuse me. And I got in a little trouble because one of the easel companies put my picture on their website and put a testimonial or something on there, and another easel company got mad at me and they canceled all their advertising.
Oh,
so
my.
I got to be really careful about brands, but I want to just start out by talking about what you want to be doing and what you need. And please chime in, interact with me as we go through that, and then we'll go into some other things. But when you're plein air painting, the goal is to get a sample, or we oftentimes call it a study, a sample of the light. Because when you're outdoors, if you stand outdoors and take a picture, that picture is going to have shadows that are darker. The color is going to be less rich. The sky is going to be blown out, and nothing is going to be real. It's actually going to be slightly distorted, and it's going to be different than what you see. Painters who start plein air painting actually become better painters overall because they see light, color, form, shape differently. And if you start plein air painting, Carrie, and I don't know if this is true for you or not, but it was for me. Once I've been plein air painting a lot, now if I work in the studio from a photo, I actually can make it look more like I think it would look outdoors, or as I remember it, than what the photo offers. What do you think?
Well, that just happened to me because I was in Lake Tahoe doing some painting and experiencing that beautiful scenery. And I took a lot of photos, and I thought I didn't have time. I did some quick little watercolor studies, but I wanted to do these paintings in the studio. And these photos average the color. So for example, there's on Lake Tahoe, the water in real life, when you're standing there, it gets, a little grayer and as it goes in the distance. And these photographs don't show that. So I'm in the studio and I keep painting it blue, 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 too intense color and not graying it down. And then it finally dawned on me, what did I see out there? And what can I recall so that I can make my paintings better in the studio? So yes, it's really important to get outside and observe these shifts in color and see the light, and then document it through these little studies. And one of the things I do with my beginner students in my studio is I have them do a little exercise called color matching. So sometimes that takes away the just the overwhelmingness of looking at color and then trying to mimic it on your canvas. Is just take a little, think of it as a swatch of color out there, and then you mix, and match it, and hold your brush up to the as you're mixing to the object, and actually match it. And I think that those are little things that we'll teach in basics course. Just some little tricks and techniques, and take the whole, take some of even the art terminology away. For example, maybe we won't call them thumbnail sketches. We'll call them doodles. We're going to go out and doodle, things like that.
Yeah, well, the terminology can be overwhelming for people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell everybody we're going to give you guys a special price, a massive special price discount on the plein air convention if you want to come hang in there for that. So a question just came in from Sean O'Daniels. Is urban sketching and urban painting the same as plein air painting? That's a really terrific question.
Yes.
So there is another big movement called the urban sketching movement, and the urban sketching movement is primarily about taking a sketchbook and going out into the city and sketching the buildings, or it could be doing a landscape or something, but it's oftentimes sketching with pen and ink or pencil, and sometimes coloring in with some, colored pencil, or sometimes maybe some watercolor or something. It's essentially the same thing. And really, plein air painting and urban sketching are really close first cousins, because a lot of us do both, right? So I carry sketchbooks with me all the time. I have sketchbooks. I get these little moleskin sketchbooks I keep in my back pocket all the time. And so, if I'm sitting out and I've got I'm stuck in traffic, or if I'm in line at a grocery store or something, I'm pulling out my sketchbook. And so I think, they are very closely related. And I think the urban sketchers oftentimes will, I don't want this to sound offensive, because I didn't mean to, I was going to say graduate to plein air painting, because it is different. It's different in the sense that's the same that you're outdoors. It's different that you're going to, you're trying to match colors and so on. But quite frankly, one feeds the other. People go from plein air painting to urban sketching. People go from urban sketching to plein air painting. And just to show you guys how important it is, I have a lot of friends who are in the film industry, and a lot of them were background painters, or are currently digital artists who work for some of the animation companies. And it is so important to do plein air painting that the companies encourage them and oftentimes pay for them to go out and learn plein air painting. And we have a ton of animators that are coming to the plein air convention this year because of that. And plein air painting, because you can really learn the drama of light. And because what we tend to do when we're painting from that average of a photo is, we don't make our lights strong enough, or our colors strong enough, or sometimes we make them too strong. So that's where plein air painting really comes in handy. So if you guys have comments, just go ahead in the comments section and put them in there. Now, I do take photos, but I've gotten to the point where I don't like to paint from photos. My favorite thing to do is to paint from studies. So I'll go out, I'll just show you guys a couple of studies that I've done. So this is called a Raymar box. There's another company that sells and makes these that is called Gorilla Painter. And this is a box that will hold, in this case, this is 12 by 16. So I can hold 9 by 12s in here, and I can hold 12 by 16s. I have my stickers on here, my color wheel on here. And so I open this up, you can see I have panels in here. So I can fit a 9 by 12 panel in here like that. And this is just one that I've been goofing around on. And then I can actually hold 6 paintings in here. So like, this is a study. This is just a study. It's a 12 by 16. Nice. And I did this on location at in St. Augustine during Winter Artiscape. And this is probably 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. The bugs were biting. It was a little annoying, but the sun was going down. And so that's a study. Now I will take this study and then I will do a bigger painting. And in the bigger painting, I might change some things around, change the composition, change the light. I might do it. Now here's another, Carrie, I'd love to see some of yours if you've got some around. This is this one's okay. Got bugs embedded in it. This is a lighthouse painting that I did at the lighthouse in St. Augustine. And again, you don't have time to get everything perfect. You have time to just kind of get color in and try to get your composition down, and that's about all. But the nice thing about these carriers is that they're wet. You put your paintings in. If you're an oil painter, they're wet. You just slide your paintings in, and you can get 6 of them back to back in there, and that's a really nice tool for you. So people ask me all the time, how do I travel with paint? Well, this is a start. I threw a couple of these in my suitcase, and that way I have plenty of panels. Now, I have standardized on 3 panel sizes. And this is very important because I think every artist needs to understand this. If somebody gave me an 8 by 10 panel the other day and I painted on it, and then I thought, oh, darn, I don't have an 8 by 10 frame. I paint almost exclusively plein air in 12 by 16 now, because I can make more money on a 12 by 16 than I can on a 9 by 12. So I tend to try to do a 2-hour painting with a 12 by 16 now. Sometimes I'll paint with a 9x12, but I don't like them as much because I can't see as much. So, but I have 9x12 paintings behind me. And as a matter of fact, this one here, this is a 9x12 painting that I did of the ocean in Maine, and it is, it's nice, but I like bigger paintings too. So the other thing that I do is I write on the back of every painting where it was. This says High Cliffs, Schoodic, Maine, painted during Fall Color Week Publishers Invitational. I was the host, October 2015. And sometimes I'll write on there who I painted with, because I like to have a historic document of, if I was painting next to John MacDonald or 𝗬𝗎𝗵𝗵 or somebody like that, then, when they're famous, I'm not. So that gives them an opportunity, a curator or somebody an opportunity to figure this out for the future. Now, the other thing is the reason I standardize on 3 panel sizes are 12/16, 9/12, and 6x8. They're all exactly the same ratio. And that way I know if I buy frames, I can buy one of those 3 frame sizes, and I'm always going to have a frame that fits. The problem is if I get other panels, then I got to go find a different frame, and I just don't want to deal with that hassle. So that's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do is my goal is, if you can't fit it into a backpack, you don't take it. Now, when we have my art retreats, and I'm not being critical of people, it's to each their own, but we have some people who bring wagons, and they bring their entire studio with them. And I used to do that. I get this, but they're towing a wagon down the path, over at the out in the woods when we're going out to painting. And, they're toiling up the hill with this thing, and they're bringing all this stuff. And it's like, you don't need to bring everything. You just need to bring what you need. So my goal is everything fits into a backpack. So I happen to have a big backpack in this particular case. But everything that I need is in here, and everything that I need. So I have my gloves in here. And then if you open this up, the first thing is I have my bag of paints, right? This is one of those little bags they sell at the art stores. And I carry a lot more paint than I should. This paint is the heaviest thing in my bag. So if I had half the number of paints in here, then that would be better overall. But and sometimes I go limited palette. Like if I'm hiking to the top of a mountain, I don't want to carry all that paint. I always have my easel brush clip, because that way I can clip it onto my easel, see my brushes. Now I have my brushes, and I carry far too many, but I have them in a roller bag, and I have the brushes, and I keep some clean ones. I keep a couple of new ones, because once in a while I'll drop one in a river or something. And I have a couple palette knives in there, and, just any type of tool. And again, I typically use about 1 or 2 brushes the entire time I paint. I keep a stool in my bag, and this stool happens to fit in my bag, and it's a really nice heavy-duty stool from Sweden. I can't get it out. I'll talk about.
Wow, Eric, you've got a lot in there.
Yeah. So this is,
but it's plenty.
This is called a panel pack, and this is all I need when I go out. I don't need to take my Raymar box. I take this panel pack. It holds 2 panels, wet, face to face. And then I can just slip them into my bag. And then I'm never going to do more than 2 at a time anyway. And so I have that with me. So I have my stool, and this is a handy dandy little stool. And by the way, I very rarely ever sit down when I'm painting, but if I feel like it, then I've got this nice sturdy little stool. So that's cool. And then I have a sketchbook. I have it in this plastic bag so I can find it. I have a sketchbook, and I have some pens. These were given to me by Elaine Miller, by the way, but these are basically values, like gray values. And so if I want to do a sketch, let's see if I can find something. Here's just a little sketch I did. This is not so much a value sketch, but it was just of a composition that I wanted to do. And my sketches are not pretty. They're there. Here's actually the lighthouse. So I was trying to do, what do I want that lighthouse to look like? And I ended up doing, I also tried verticals, and you see a check mark. That's the vertical of the lighthouse that I did. So, and so I like to I like to have 2 or 3 different shapes to see which. I try to do 4 or 5 so that I see which one I'm going to pick, so that it gives me just an overall value study. So that's the sketchbook. Then I have my easel. Now this particular easel, this is one that I made, and that way I don't have to endorse any one particular easel. This is my own easel, and I keep my paint out on it all the time. That way I can set up painting right away. I have my color wheel on it, and it just goes on top of my tripod. And so now the next thing in here is my tripod. So the tripod is carbon fiber, it's lightweight, and it's very sturdy. And then, you know, I keep a roll of these plastic bags, but these are the ones that are ecologically sound, so they can actually go into compost. And right now I have also in here, and I don't need this, but it's another panel pack type thing. This one's made by 𝗍𝗍𝗄. And this way I've got my 9x12s and my 12/16s with me. That's anything I would possibly need. And the only other thing is my turpentine can, which is kept in the side right over here. And then I usually have some sunscreen or some bug spray or something like that. I do not use DEET because I've heard rumor that it causes Parkinson's. I don't know if that's true. And so that's my entire bag. And so I can paint with that bag. I can paint 2 12x16s and 2 9x12s one day out if I wanted to. And I never paint that many, maybe 3, and everything's with me. What about you, Carrie? What do you carry?
Well, I was just going to comment on, I have a new student, and she's coming to the plein air convention, and she's overwhelmed, Eric, with what to bring. So that was great. And I've talked to her, and I asked her to bring her supplies in, and we're going to pare them down. And I told her, just like you said, you'll take all these brushes, but you may only use 2 or 3 of them. So you can have just a minimum amount of, 2 to 3 brushes. I take, like you, a few more, but I end up using the same brushes. So kind of figure out what brushes you like, something small, medium, and large. And then the other thing was, she talked about a wagon. And I said, I don't think you're going to need a wagon. It's more fun, keeping it simple and not having all those choices. The other thing we talked about was the panel boxes, because she wasn't sure, how to transport wet painting. She's an oil painter. And I suggested the 𝗬𝗲 boxes. And I don't know if we'll be selling them at the convention. It feels like, do you know that I've been coming to the convention since 2014? I feel like every time there is, 𝗬𝗲's there, somebody's selling the panel boxes. And so they'll be there. If you don't have them, they should be at the convention. Well, am I correct?
𝗬𝗲 sells panel boxes, and Gorilla Painter panel boxes, and a couple others do as well.
Right.
They're usually, some or all are at the convention. One thing nice, if you're a brand new plein air painter, you can come to the convention and you actually can buy an easel, you can buy a tripod, you can buy your can for your mediums, you can buy all the paints you need. You literally could come there with nothing and buy whatever you want. And that's true probably for watercolor, for pastel. It's a little different every year. We have a lot of people coming this year. And there's also full art stores that are set up at the convention. Yeah. I don't know if we have any pictures of the convention that have of the what we call the expo hall. That's the expo part of PACE, Plein Air Convention and Expo. Oh, there. Well, that's our art show at the convention. That's outside the expo hall. So we have vendors outside as well. Do we have any other pictures? I guess not. So anyway, it's big. I mean, it's massive, and there's a lot of vendors there, and oftentimes they're doing discounts, usually plein air specific things that you won't find in art stores. Most of the easels and things, we're a small enough industry that the art stores don't carry a lot of plein air specific things. Once in a while, but we
have framers there too. We have frames, ready-made frames that are nice. Yep. And there's a lot of, I think we all get a little addicted to our art supplies. So that's a big part of the plein air convention, actually. We're watching demos, and then we're excited about all the new supplies that we get to watch these instructors use. And then we run to the expo hall to see if we can get that magic brush. And usually they have a lot of the vendors will stock the supplies that the instructors are using, so that's nice. And I even had questions about people, how do I get all the things I buy home? And typically these hotels have like a UPS store within the hotel. I'm not sure in Reno, but we can
there's a
check for you.
store in there, and
Yeah,
a lot of people will drive, and a lot of people will bring an extra suitcase.
extra. That's what I do.
The other
An extra suitcase
is you always have to have a hat. I get an occasional bit of skin cancer, and so I have to wear a wider brim hat most of the time. And sometimes if I'm in Texas painting, I wear my big cowboy hat. But the idea is you want to have protection. And by the way, there's two reasons. Is when you're painting, and we're throwing a lot at you guys, I know that when you're painting, when I paint in the studio, I wear a hat. And that's because I have overhead lights, and I need to be able to kind of keep the sun out of my eyes. When I'm out there painting, I want to keep the sun out of my eyes. I want to keep my eyes in shade. And typically you want to keep your panel in shade and your palette. So if I'm out in direct sunlight and I can't find a tree to stand under, then I will turn my panel sometimes the opposite direction of the scene, so that my panel is up and it's creating shade on the panel, but also creating shade on my palette. Because if you're painting in direct sunlight, it will actually make your painting darker. And I learned this the hard way, because I bring my paintings in, I look at them indoors, and they were all really dark, and I couldn't understand why. The same happens if the light in your studio is too bright. You will come out with darker paintings. And I had that problem one time too.
So Eric, I want to go back to urban sketching, that question, because we are so fortunate this year for our basics course. We're going to have an urban sketcher in our basics course, and then she'll be mentoring in the field. And like you said, Eric, it's a big movement right now. And how does it relate to plein air painting? And for me, our instructor's name is Suma, and Suma came out to Arizona, and we both just put our little fanny packs on, and we had some just some pens and our little sketchbook, and then a little watercolor set, and then the pen with or the brush with a little bit of water in it. So we went out to the desert and we did some nice hiking, and then we found a big rock to sit on, and we talked, and we did our little sketches. And I think how it relates to, it is plein air painting to me, and it's also our little information gathering session, or our studies, or a way to observe the things that we might be painting in the studio. And it's a very pleasant experience. And I guess the thing I can say about the difference is when I take canvas and oil paints or my acrylics out, it's a little more cumbersome, not much, but you got the bigger backpack. And also there's a little more physical effort involved. So, but it's the same thing on a smaller scale, and it's enjoyable, and it has become a movement, which is nice, because I think if we all get it's easier to practice. If you say you're urban sketching, it's a practice for bigger pieces, or doing oil painting in the field. So one of the things we're going to do in the basics course is really hone in on that skill of learning and to sketch and to develop a practice of sketching, and urban sketching helps that, because
a lot of the very famous painters. I saw a painting at a show last week. It was $65,000 from T. Allen Lawson, and
wow.
When he doesn't typically go out plein air painting, he goes out plein air sketching.
Yeah.
And what he'll do is he'll take a sketchbook. George Carlson does the same thing. he'll take a sketchbook and do a sketch, and then he'll put numbers in for colors. Like he'll get his color charts out and go, okay, that was a number 6 blue, or that was
Wow.
blue,
Mhm.
because he wants to represent, he's going to take that sketch. I was on a cruise. I didn't want to take paints, but I guess I took watercolors. But I was sketched most of the time because it was with family. I didn't want to be setting things up. So then I
Yes.
take those sketches and then go back and say, okay, I'm going to take the sketch and convert it to a painting. So urban sketching is very, very valid in that. And of course, just for the reason you want to do it. I would like it if you would give, before you go into the specifics of what's in the basics course.
Okay.
And by the way, not everybody needs the basics course, but the basics course is awesome, and you always get a couple hundred people in it. It's really good. And we improved our technology for this year, so it's going to be even better.
Wonderful.
What would you do? Yeah, last year we had a little problem. What would you say to somebody who's like, I'm a brand new painter. I don't want to go paint in front of all these people, or I'm a little intimidated by all this, or I'm not good enough. What would you say to those people?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I did interview a friend of mine who's this gal that's going, and I said, "What's your biggest fear?" Because she signed up, but she's still a little nervous, and she started off saying, "Well, just the unknown." And that's why I think we're always talking about what it's like. And of course, that's true of anything. If it's unknown, you're going to have a little fear. But she was worried about, bringing the right equipment. And that's what, we're going over today, and keeping it simple and if you forget something, we'll all have it. I even said, if you forget something and we're out painting on location, there's a guy right behind you, or, just down the path there with the tube of, titanium white if you need it. And everybody's so helpful in the field and during the convention. So you'll have the right equipment. If you don't, you'll buy it. If you forget something, somebody will give it to you. She said traveling through TSA, she's worried about the oil paints. I said, I think, and I confirmed this with people, that we'll be sending out an email that includes this tag that you can put. I've got mine in a little baggie here, and I put that inside my suitcase. I put a couple of them in inside my suitcase that tells the inspectors that our paints are safe. We don't have solvents.
Yeah, they're vegetable oil.
Yeah, they're vegetable oil. So you'll get this in the mail.
Let's talk about solvents, because I
Okay.
think that's really important. Well, let's just transition into travel, then we'll go back to that since we're on that topic.
Okay.
Do not carry solvents on an airplane. Do not put them in a perfume bottle. Don't hide them in your kit, because anything that's flammable, if that decides to ignite, you don't want it blowing up in the airplane and killing a bunch of people. Don't put solvents on airplanes. Now, there are solvent-free paint solvents that you can get that don't have any carcinogens, and they don't have any flammability. That's fine. A lot of them are oil-based, and that's fine. And I check everything. I just check my plein air bag. Sometimes if I'm going to be out for, like, I'm traveling to China for 3 weeks, I'm going to take a big bag, and it's going to have, 30 extra panels in it and a bunch of extra stuff, extra paint and everything. Like, I'll put my painting bag inside my suitcase and then stock it with panels and panel carriers or whatever I'm taking. I might not take oil that trip, but the idea is you just check it. You put the stickers on the outside so that if they go inside, they know, hey, this is vegetable-based paint. It's not flammable. That's important. And don't carry palette knives through security. That'll get you in trouble. You don't want to do that. So you can check all that stuff. If you have razor knives, you can check them. A lot of us use razor knives for scraping. I do. And so, and if the only thing I would be cautious about is, I used to put a glass palette in my plein air kit, and I don't do that anymore, because I've had glass pallets break at least 3 different times on airplanes in checked baggage. And so I just don't want to, I don't want to get there and have to deal with that. So I'll either use plexiglass, or what I just do is I do the raw wood. I like that better anyway, and I just clean that up. So And of course, palette paper is perfectly acceptable too. You can do that. What else for travel? What other tips? Any? Did I miss any?
Well, just that, how do you, she was thinking about getting, purchasing things at the expo, and how do you get them home? We already talked about that. But I think I think you hit it with reminding people not to bring the palette knives through. Just check all your luggage. Put the, there's also stickers that will go out. You can put on the outside of your luggage. And
we give everybody those stickers.
We give everybody those stickers. So that's great for travel. And then just keeping it simple. The other thing I suggest maybe for some of the, new people is start out with the smaller panels, the 8x10s, the 6x8s, the 8x8s, just for purposes of getting everything in that one backpack. And then what I do with that backpack is I put it inside of another a little bit bigger suitcase, and then put some paper, rolls of paper towels. We can buy them at the convention, but sometimes I like to make sure that I'm not going to run out of my paper towels, and then a few other items. And then that suitcase is the suitcase that I load up with all the things that I purchase at the convention. So there's a little extra room. So I have two suitcases, one for my clothing and one for my art supplies. The backpack goes on one side. The other side is left for things that I'm gonna,
for new purchases,
new stuff.
like Toyland. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much do the same thing. I have, as I mentioned, I have a lot of different easels in different sizes. I have really small travel easels. Some of them are really like that big, and I really love them. I have a roller bag. It's a backpack with big wheels. You can get backpacks with little wheels, but I have one with big wheels. And that way, when I'm out in the dirt and going over the rocks and stuff, it goes more smoothly. It's not like causing any friction. And so I usually take that with me with a small easel, and again, everything that I need. And that way I'm free. I actually keep a backpack, not always, but most of the time I have a backpack in my car. So if I'm driving around and we happen to be off somewhere, and it's like, oh, I got to stop and paint here, and I'll just pull over and I have my stuff. The other thing that I want to mention to you is you want to have a plein air kit or more, and you want to never borrow from that kit. And the reason is that I went painting by a river down in South Texas one day, and I got out there, was all excited, and I did not have my paint brushes with me. I forgot to pack them. And another time I went painting, and I had taken a couple of colors and brought them in my studio because I didn't want to go to the store and buy more. So I took them out. I forgot to replace them. So now I'm very disciplined. I actually have a checklist of my colors, and I make sure before I go out, I just never borrow from my plein air bag. Those colors go in that bag. They never go anywhere else. And that way you don't ever, take it out for your studio and then wish you had it later. And then I don't know about you. I like small tubes because of I can fit them in. They're compact. Even though I oftentimes in the studio, I buy big things of white. I don't carry big things of white typically with me. I'll just carry 3 or 4 small tubes of white.
There you go.
That way I can keep them, my suitcase in my room, and add a couple if I need them. Because I go through a lot of white. There's a couple colors I go through more. I go through, ultramarine blue more than most other colors. So, you just want to kind of get in the habit of being prepared, because you never know when, one day I got a call. I'm sitting in my office and I'm at my desk and the phone rings and it's Tony Bennett. He says, "Hey, I'm landing in 20 minutes. Why don't you meet me at the Ritz-Carlton? Let's go painting." I had a bag ready. I could just go. I didn't expect that. So if you have something ready and you get in the mood, if I'm in the mood to paint and then I have to go put everything together, I lose the mood. So have it ready.
Have it ready. Hey, Eric, I want to talk about the location, what happens when we all go out painting together. So it can be a little overwhelming for a beginner, and for all of us, because we're this year, we're going to be on buses, or if you have your own car, but you get to this location, and where am I going to paint? How am I going to set up? Who's going to help me? And I think just the basics course, we have a flag. I'm going to show you guys our flag. I happen to have it. So isn't that cool? So we'll have the basics. And so I'll tell everybody, I send a text message to our basics course people, and let them know that we're going to be right off, typically right where the buses drop us off, and then we'll walk to a location. And one of us on our team, which I want to make sure I get to talk about our team because we've got some wonderful instructors. We're all going to be mentoring our basics course people in the field, but we also will mentor anybody. And then there's a lot of, there we are. That's part of our basics students in North Carolina. What fun time. And actually that location right there was the place on the news that we saw was so flooded. That was at that orchard.
Yeah. Oh
my gosh. But anyway, so that was, when we meet everybody, they know where we're going to be. And if they want our help, they can either, the convention gives everybody a little, it looks like a little pass that says, I need help. And it's usually in a bright color. So as an instructor, when we're walking around, we can see who might need a little assistance while they're out in the field, whether it's, some people have new easels and they're having a hard time getting those easels up. And I recommend you practice in your hotel room first. But if you don't, everybody's there to be helpful. And we've got, 75 instructors that are out in the field, mentor, helping if you need help and you have that pass. We also, as instructors, have flags. So if we're painting and demoing, because we'll paint a little and then we'll walk around, or or if we get a group around us, we'll keep going so they can see how we would approach a particular subject. And then, or sometimes I'll make sure everybody's got their spot and get set up and kind of help them with their preliminary sketching. And so that they are picking a scene, kind of simplifying it. And that's a big thing that's the majority of what we're going to be teaching in our basics course, is how to get a real solid start with learning how to see and sketch and simplify. So anyway, so when you get out to these locations, there might, you'll see a little crowd around a certain area, and you'll think, oh, what are they looking at? And typically it's a good scene. So if you want to paint that scene and everybody's already got front row, and these are big places, it's not always going to be like that, but once in a while there'll be a group. Yeah, there we go. And so you just kind of nudge in there, and a lot of times I'll go off to the side, and some painters will be done in an hour and they'll move, and then you take their spot, or you turn the other way and paint for a little bit and do a little study of a tree behind you, and then somebody moves, and then you've got the whole venue there. So look at us. Yeah. And it's so fun because it's kind of like, in
that case, they're painting a model. They were painting.
Oh, that was a model.
The Native American actor who came.
Oh yeah. So once in a while
I think he was on Yellowstone and some other shows. And then he's coming again this year.
He is? Oh, yeah. I really like him.
Well, let me just interrupt for a second. We got a lot more to talk about, but I just want to tell everybody that we really think you should come to the Plein Air Convention. If you're in plein air, even if you're just getting into it, you will get so much excitement and you'll get so energized, it'll make it worthwhile. And though we do all these online events, there's nothing like being in person. It becomes like Thanksgiving for artists, because we go there, we make friends, we see these friends year after year, and we're hugging each other. I mean, we just love our friends and new family that we've created at these events. We really want you to come. So today we've come up with a special incentive for you. Our price escalates as we start filling up our rooms and stuff. We have to start raising our prices. But today, for this, we've come up with a special price for you guys. And let's pull up that slide. We have a special deal for you that is $200 off of the Plein Air Convention. That essentially rolls back to the price of what our original price was. That is only good for 24 hours. But if you go go to pleinairconvention.com, and when you check out, use the code ASL for Art School Live 200 for your $200 off PACE ticket. We're going to give you a $200 discount. And so write that down in case you decide to change your mind in the next 24 hours. But we only have 158 seats left, and they're going to go, and it's just a matter of time. So we would like to have you come and join us and explore it. So that's ACL 200. Okay, write that down. So Carrie, you started reading that letter from that woman who, your friend, who said she was a little intimidated by coming. There's a comment in here from Suzette S, who says, I would be embarrassed to paint in front of all these great painters, but I would still do it because I know people are actually really nice. The one thing that we have to all understand is that you could be standing up painting next to Carrie Curran or Matt Smith or Joseph 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝘁, Christensen or somebody. They have all been through this. They have all done early beginner stage paintings. They did not have natural talent. They didn't just figure it out one day and wake up and be brilliant painters. They struggled. And because of that, everyone who's at the convention is at a different level. We have people who have never, we always get 50 or 100 people who come every year who've never even plein air painted. We get 50 or 100 people every year who've never even painted, don't even know how to mix colors. We get all stages, people who have been doing it for a while, people have been doing it for decades, people who are professionals. We're all at different stages, but we've all been there. We have all experienced that idea of being embarrassed. Now, the reality is you do not have to paint with the group if you don't want to. You don't ever have to show anybody your paintings. You can just go and watch other people. You can attend all the sessions where we're teaching. But it's so much fun to paint with other people and have in the promo that we'll show you in a bit. There's this woman says, I actually got 𝗥𝗵𝗏𝗶𝘁 came up to me and gave me lessons. I remember one day somebody said, I can't believe it. Matt Smith actually came up and gave me some tips. So you're going to have access to people that you'll never get access to personally in your life. I mean, think about this year. The very first plein air convention, we were able to get Scott Christensen to come. I've been trying for every convention since then and haven't been able to come. I got him to come this year. This is very rare. Scott doesn't even teach in-person workshops anymore unless you have gone through his rigorous online training first, and so you actually can attend one of his. He'll be painting on stage or talking on stage. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but he has a pre-convention workshop that's optional that you can do for the day before the convention starts. And you don't have to have gone through all his stuff. You should, but you don't have to. The other thing is the great, supposedly the best watercolor artist in the world, Joseph 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝘁, is coming from Australia. That's rare. He's going to be doing a rare watercolor workshop. And that's a pre-convention workshop. And then Carrie is doing her basics plein air. Now you have several instructors. Do you want to tell us who you've got or what?
Sure.
That is?
We have an incredible team. We've got Ellen Howard from the West Coast. She's oil painting and gouache. So I know a lot of people, we haven't talked about gouache, but a lot of people are starting to use that in the field. And so she's available to help with that. And then I've got Plein, who's a wonderful watercolor artist and an incredible teacher. And then Terry Lynn 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, and she's a pastel artist, and she's been on Art School Live showing her technique to bring emotion to your paintings. And she's a very enthusiastic person, and all of us are very passionate about teaching and very passionate about helping beginners, and we all love the plein air painting is our hobby, our profession, and our love in our life. And we want to share that passion with you. And we're going to share our techniques and show you our equipment and our favorite brushes, and we'll each have our setups in the room. There's one more, 𝗬𝗰𝗵𝗵. She's our urban sketcher, gal from San Francisco, and she's the one that came out and we hiked and sketched together, and just an incredible person, and loves teaching too. So I think all of us are very excited. We've got our little presentations together, but we're going to spend a lot of hands-on time with people in our classroom for the pre-convention event. And we're going to be doing a lot of just getting you fully prepared for going out on location to paint with the big group. And also, I think it will enhance the demos that you're watching, because I think once you try something, then you watch somebody doing it, I think you understand it better. So any beginners in the basics course will have that little bit of advantage. I also wanted to address that I had the same friend say, what if I'm the worst painter there? And these are, and I said, okay, jokingly, I said, there's going to be people that are worse than you. Just kidding. So I said, no, everybody feels that way, and you may not want to have anybody see your work, but we're all there to have fun. And that's kind of the bottom line. When Eric talks about this is the new golf, I think of it as a hobby, but it's a hobby that is, good for mind, body, and soul. We're challenging ourselves. We're outdoors, feeling just being outdoors. Most of us, enjoy that, and to be out there and challenge ourselves, and then to have a group of friends that you can laugh about, something you did. It's just,
we're all totally into the same things. Like we're looking look at that light when we do that.
Yeah.
With our family, they roll their eyes, or we go,
yeah.
look at that color,
Yeah.
There's
it's
a question
really
in the comments, Carrie, from Linda G. She said, how do we store our gear on the bus? Let me just address that.
okay. Sure.
So we recommend you take the buses. That way you don't have to rent a car. You can get from the airport to the hotel pretty easily, or if you're driving in, you don't need a car, but we still recommend you take the buses. The reason is that we're going through some windy roads. In some cases, we have to go pretty far away. And in some cases, there are going to be parking problems. So for instance, when we go to Lake Tahoe, there are going to be some parking problems. There's limited parking, but the bus is going to pull right up in front. Your gear is going to be under the bus. You just pull it off, paint for the day or however long we're painting. So you should understand the structure of this is we get up in the morning. We do, starting at about 8 o'clock in the morning, we do sessions. We have a homeroom in the main stage where everybody fits in. We give away prizes. We give you announcements. We tell you what's going on for the day. And then you go off, and sometimes we give away big prizes too. You go off then into your room. You might stay in the big room for a session, or you might go to the watercolor room or the demo room or the pastel room, or there's 5 different stages. And then we go, you can, by the way, you're, unlike the way things have been done at other things in the past, not us, but you don't have to pay for any session. You pay one price, you get everything except for the pre-convention workshops, which you have to pay for, because we have to be able to fund these people coming in. And then so you can, if you're watching a session, you're like, this isn't for me, you just go into a different session. And you can do that all day long, and you get variety, you get to see it. And then when you sign up for the following year's convention, you'll actually get replays on video. So if you missed a session, you can get it. And so that gives you an opportunity to do that. But you have, we go and we do mornings, usually till about 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock, depending on the day. So, one day we'll go out at 3 o'clock and we'll then paint from 3 o'clock till evening. And then you come back and there's evening sessions at the convention. There's parties. There's critique sessions. There's anything, you can stay busy the whole time. You can sit up in the lobby and play music with our guitarists. You can go to bed. You can do whatever you want to do. Go to your room and take a nap. But we have, we want people who want to be busy. So we have sessions all day long. Now we also have VIP. So we had to do VIP because we wanted to make it, something special for people who wanted to get right up in front. So we have Platinum VIP and we have regular Gold VIP. And so Platinum VIP, they get special dinners, they get to go special studio visits or other special excursions. That's us when we went to Daniel Sprick's studio, small group of people. And then the Gold VIPs and the other VIPs get front row center seating. And then there's a lounge for them. So they actually can go into the lounge and grab some food or grab some drinks and so on. And it's really worth the extra price because it gives you perks and so on. But no matter what, I mean, there's room for everybody. We have these big screen TVs, giant screens. And so you can see from every seat, you can see really, really well. And that gives you an opportunity to be able to see there. You can see in that particular crowd, there's 1,200 people in that room, but you can see those big, giant, 50-foot screens. And so that way you can really see and hear, and everything's really perfect. So it's a terrific experience. I tried to create it as the ultimate dinner party, a place where I would go and see all these famous artists. Nothing like this ever existed in history. If Monet had been able to go to the plein air convention, he'd have been there. I guarantee it, because everybody wants to learn and collaborate and meet each other and be a part of things. And so most of the great artists in America come back, whether they're on the faculty or not, they come back year after year because they want to see their friends. They want to learn from other people. Great artists are always trying to learn. So we go, we do sessions in the morning, and then we go out in the afternoon, we hop on the buses and we drive you to the location. Then you find your spot, we paint, we beep a few times to tell you when it's time to clean up, and then we go back. And so we go to a different location. So one day we're going to Virginia City, and we're going to be painting in Virginia City, an old Western town, the real deal. We're all going to be there. We're going to be wearing our Western gear. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a closing party where we're going to do 1930s mobster gangster theme because of Reno. And we party hard. We have a good time. We just enjoy ourselves. We're there to have fun. We dance and we do music. We just have a lot of fun. It's a really incredible experience. Yeah. There's our closing party one night. And so, oftentimes there's a theme. And so we want to make plein air painting fun, but educational and take it to the next level. Carrie, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything else you want to
Well, I really wanted to end on this note of friendship, because I want to tell a quick story. When I was on 𝗬𝗏 Beach, my first convention, and I was by myself. It started raining and the wind was blowing, but I was loving the whole feeling and my painting was looking good. So I kept painting, and then all of a sudden I stopped. I was packing up. I looked around and no one was there. This is before we had buses. And so I packed up, started walking, and then I saw this gal. She was messing around with her little panels were flying and she was trying to pick. So I started helping her, and I asked her for a ride back to the hotel. And of course she let me take a ride with her, and we ended up being the best friends. We spent the rest of the convention meeting for lunches and dinners, and then I stayed after the convention, and she took me for a ride up to Big Sur, and we stopped and we painted. And she was a beginner. It was her first convention, and so she was getting a little help from me, and I was getting help from her. And to this day, we're very close friends. And I have other friends from Canada, New Jersey. I'm just so excited every year to meet all my friends that I've met there. And we're like-minded when we, as artists and people who want to try, a new adventure if it's your first time. And so as far as fitting in with the group and meeting friends, it just happens,
Well, we go a little further than that, actually, because you probably haven't been to this, or maybe you have, but we do an orientation that's optional. So in the orientation, someone will get up there and they'll tell you everything about the convention. So you know exactly what to do, where to go, where things are, and so on. And then we do a friend finder thing. So you volunteer for this. You don't have to be, but we say, like, who wants to be in a dinner group? And So people raise their hands, and so she'll say, okay, you 4 people, you're in a dinner group or a lunch group, and you 4 people. And what it does is it forces people together. And that way you have people to talk to, people to hang out with, because you don't know people when you go, and you end up making best friends. As a matter of fact, Carrie, I don't know if you knew this, but about 5 or 6 years ago, we did the orientation. And so people, there are 2 groups of people, they ended up having dinner together. And one of the groups, this one lady was in this one group, and this one guy was in this other group, and somebody knew somebody, so they all ended up having dinner together. And this couple kind of hit it off, and they started talking. And then by the end of the convention, they were an item, and they ended up, a year later, they got married.
Yay!
So how cool is that?
That's so cool.
I want to remind you guys that the special code is ACL 200. If you go to the pleinairconvention.com to check out, it's ACL 200. We're going to keep going for another minute or two, but some of the platforms that we're on, like Instagram, may cut off because we're at the 1 hour mark. So I want to answer questions from the comments and make sure that we're covering all your questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in now. We would love to make sure that you guys understand this convention fully. Some people, by the way, somebody said, what about cars? You know, you can bring your cars, you can take your cars to the paint outs. If you have a car, you got to pay for parking at the hotel. And I don't know, maybe that's included. We'll find out. But anyway, you can take your car. We love it if you take your car, that you travel with somebody else. You try to get a group of 2 or 3 people together, and you go to the convention together. It'll make it more fun. And if you're driving to every location by yourself, it's no fun. On the buses, we're singing, we're partying, we're having fun, we're getting to know people. I always ride the buses because that's how I get to know people. And I've met some really great friends and learned a lot of great things on those buses. And so that's where the magic happens. And the reality is, yeah, we have to charge for them because the buses are expensive to us, but it's really a benefit to not have to bring a car. There will be a meetup for the Dreamliners. Everybody asked that. We always have a special cocktail party for the Dreamliners. So we have other questions. There are certain, if you want to see who's there, you can go to pleinairconvention.com. The main stage, I don't know if we have a graphic with the faculty members on it or not, but the main stage is happening, and we've got a lot of really big time artists on the main stage. And then they don't get invited to be on the faculty of the Plein Air Convention unless they're a big deal. Now, the other thing is we have, as Carrie mentioned, we have what we call field painters. I think we should call them field coaches. And the idea is that they're going to have the hat, they're going to have the flag, and they're going to be able to be there for you so you can say, hey, I need help. Can you help me through this? And one lady said to me, you know, I was struggling, and then somebody came up to her and said, so focus on big shapes, and here's how to do it. Painted on her canvas, showed her how to do it. She said that was a game changer for me. That changed everything for me. So the whole goal is to get you better, to make you feel good about being there. You can mail your supplies ahead. And of course, you can mail them to a local UPS store. You can mail them to the hotel if you want to do that. But if you're mailing supplies, you're taking too many, quite frankly. Unless you're coming from Europe or something and you don't want to have the extra baggage. So the code, the question is, it's ACL 200. Oh, no, is it ACL or is it ASL? Somebody's asking. I may have that wrong. Amadine, pull it up and pull up the the slide so we know which it is. It's ASL. I said ACL. It's ASL 200. Okay. And use that code, and that will be do it. Do I recommend toning your canvas prior to the convention? Carrie, do you want to address that question?
I do. I tone my canvas. Sometimes I'll get going though, and then I'll use those, and then I'll get out there, and I might have it. It's helpful to anytime you're plein air paint to have a little bit of preparation. Maybe like Eric said, lay out your paints, tone your canvas, and then people say, well, what color should I tone it? And a lot of us will recommend just a warm tone, a raw sienna or something, you know, light and warm and especially with Lake Tahoe, which we haven't talked much about. And that
Well,
this is such an
let's
incredible place, Eric, that all get to go. I took 2 trips there, just kind of planning and seeing what it was like, and it is heaven. It is so gorgeous, and the hiking, and you drive around that lake, there's a view from every place you look. There's paintings, there's a painting, every place you look. Anyway, so we're just so fortunate because Lake Tahoe, that Eric picked this place. It is gorgeous, and the shapes, the big trees and the mountains and the water, you can't, it has all the elements and shapes and textures and colors, everything we'd like to see in paintings. That
So
gets us all excited.
Normally, and what I would recommend is either come early or stay late, because you're out there, you get a chance to paint. I can't come early this year because my daughter's graduating from college the day before I go to the convention. Thankfully, not the day of. But I would like to go out typically and paint locally a little bit on my own. Now, here's the other thing I want to emphasize. This is a 5-day event. And what happens, and this is what confuses people sometimes, we close the exhibit hall, and then we have the closing party, and then the next morning we get up and we paint the full day at usually one of the most spectacular locations. And some people think, well, I don't want to do another hotel room, or I don't want to stay on. And then they miss a full day at one of the most spectacular places. And usually we don't have any official parties, but there are always groups of people who hang out, have dinner, do parties in their rooms and stuff like that. And that last night of the convention. So make sure you come and stay. Come in early the night before so that you can get up and go to the pre-convention workshop, Scott Christensen, the basics course, and of course, 𝗤𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗿. I tell you, I want to go to both of them, and I'm really torn. I don't know which one to go, because I'm never going to get a chance to go to either one of them again. And it's like, I don't know. So that's a choice you have to make, because I do watercolor and oil and pastel and everything else. So, and we have teaching. I mean, we have a watercolor stage, we have a pastel stage, and then we have a demo stage. And the demo stage and the main stage are catch-alls. So the main stage might have an oil demo, it might have 𝗤𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗿, it might have, watercolor, might have pastel. You've got all the greats that are going to be there. Some are teaching, some are just out there. And somebody said to me, one of the cool things is they were able to meet the people they'd only read about, the icons of the art world, that they never thought in a million years they'd have a chance to meet them. Some of these people will come and teach at the convention, but they don't teach any other time. And so it's an opportunity to get to know them, become friends with them. We pick people based on their personalities. There's 2 criteria that we use. One criteria is they must be, 3 criteria. They must be a rock star painter. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, they have to be a great teacher. Some people are great painters, but they're not good teachers. And the third is they have to be the kind of people who are going to be loving and kind and accepting of everybody, and not arrogant, and be welcoming, because that's the kind of people we are, and that's the kind of people we want to have our team be. We had an instructor one time who was being a little bit full of their self. That way I don't have to say gender. And we uninvited that person for the future, because we can't have, when people complain about somebody being nasty, we just will not tolerate it. This is all about our personal growth. This is something that some of you are going to save your whole year to be able to come to. We want this to be the experience of a lifetime. Some of you will only be able to come one time in your lifetime. We had a woman who came, and she came and she said, she said, I've read about it for years. I kept telling myself I'd go someday. And now I wish I had come, 5 years ago, because this was the best possible thing ever. I later found out that she died that year. So you just never know what's going to happen in our lives. take advantage of opportunities like this. I started this convention. I don't know which one this is. This 12, 13, 14? I don't know. Anyway, I started this because it's what I would have wanted as a painter, to be able to get all these people together to create a sense of community. And when you become part of the community, you meet everybody, right? You're meeting exhibitors, you get to know all the exhibitors, you're meeting people who, most of the people who create plein air events fly in for this event, and they do it so they can meet artists and find artists to invite to their events. We've had stories of people who have been invited to all kinds of things because of meeting somebody at the convention. People have been invited to do workshops. There's just, you know, sometimes we discover people. We have an art show, and we put up paintings. There's usually several hundred paintings, and we sell the paintings. We have a faculty section. You can buy paintings from this faculty. They're low prices typically, and you can put a painting in the show if you want to. You have to rent an easel, and then you get to keep, I think, most of the money. I think we keep a small percentage, but you have the opportunity to have your work seen. We have gone through that show. Our editors are there. They've gone through that show and said, you know, this painter's pretty good. I'm going to do an article about them. So there's lots of reasons to come. The best reason is you're going to feel great about yourself. You're going to feel great about your painting. And this is spring training, right? We do it in the spring. So, you know, all the plein air events, all the plein air paintings happening in the summer. We don't do it in the summer because it's too busy. And spring is a great time to get yourself tuned up, to learn a lot, to get better, to push yourself to the next level. And it really is a fabulous opportunity. Carrie?
I'm going to say, what I tell everybody is invest in your creative self, because we've all got it in ourselves and we've maybe bottled it up or stuffed it down in there. But I think we're all creative souls, and this is an opportunity to be with other people who are getting their creative souls out in the open. And it's just, like I said, I haven't missed a convention since I started. It's the way I kind of reboot myself, and through being around others and watching great artists, and then, you know, practicing, having fun, all in a wonderful environment, which, you know, that always makes everything come to fruition when you're having a good time.
And it's not online. And by the way, I do online events and I love it. But when you can see the texture of the paint, and you can see the painting up close, and you can watch them painting it in person, it's just different. And the thing that happens to me is I get like totally psyched up, totally inspired. I just, you know, I feel good about painting again. Sometimes I'm in these creative blocks, and I go to the convention. It's like I'm rocking it all summer. I'm just doing the best work, and I'm feeling good. So it really kind of sets the tone. So let's see if we have any other questions in the comments here real quick.
Okay.
I kind of feel like we're on a PBS show and we're pitching something, and that we want people to understand about the convention. And so this is a good opportunity to be able to tell people all about it. Is it possible to get that luggage sticker before PACE to help me prepare for my first PACE? Yeah, I think we can figure that out. We'll talk about it. I'm thankful for this video today. Thank you both for helping me prepare for PACE. The biggest difference between live events and PACE is that you cannot attend PACE in your underwear. From Dennis Marshall, who deserves credit for that. Are there the locations accessible by wheelchair? That is a really great question. Linda, we can find that out for you. I would say I have been to all 4 locations, and the location in Reno, absolutely. The location in Virginia City, absolutely. The location in Lake Tahoe, absolutely. We're going to one location in the High Sierras. It's, you know, there's a parking lot, and then it kind of becomes rough dirt. So you might have to paint from the parking lot, but it's still beautiful. So I would say yes, probably so. Okay. Will there be gouache people teaching? Yes. Let's see here. What else do we have? If you guys have questions, put them in now. Is it humid like San Francisco? I don't know. I don't think so. It's beautiful though. The colors, I went out there 2 different times to find painting locations. I go and personally approve every painting location because one time I didn't, and I didn't like one of them. So now I fly out in advance. I've flown out 2 times. I meet with the hotels. I see the hotels. By the way, we spend 2 years planning these conventions. We actually book the hotels 3 years in advance. So this is a big deal for us. We have to pay for the hotel rooms, and you guys got to buy them. And so we really work hard on making this the event of a lifetime. We've been using some casino hotels lately because we found out that we can get lower hotel room rates for you guys. And nobody ever goes into the casinos anyway, so it's not a big deal, and they're separated. But that way the room rates are low, and we like that. That makes it so it's easier for you. The weather, it's a dry climate, plays havoc on your hair. Yeah, get over it. Wear a hat. Let's see, is there going to be a live stream available? No, there is not. And the experience is, the part of the experience is being there. If you want to come to something that's live stream, come to Plein Air Live, where we're going to be teaching plein air. That's coming up in November. So let's just see here if there's any other questions. Is there a plan for next year? I'd love to participate. Well, you never know if there's going to be a next year. Just saying. So, yes, we have a plan for next year, but I can't talk about it. So I would get shot if I did. I will help organize it in Europe in Europe, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure I understand. I will help organize it in Europe. Okay. Well, we've talked about bringing the plein air convention to Europe, and for our vendors, it's just, they have to ship boatloads, containers of paintbrushes and stuff to Europe, and that's really expensive for them. So we have not been. I might do an invitational or a retreat in Europe. Anyway, the weather's really nice. Oh, it says it's not humid. It is altitude. Do we need to bring anything to prepare? It's high altitude. So we've had high altitude locations before. The best thing to do is for 2 weeks before, drink a lot of water, and then you'll acclimate. And it never hurts to go into Walmart and pick up one of those cans of oxygen. I always do, just in case I get a little winded or something. But it's not going to be a problem for most of you. Hopefully not. There still are bus seats available, but there's going to come a deadline on the bus seats. Restrooms. Are there restrooms accessible? Yeah, probably. I think in most locations, yes, there are. Let's see. Okay, I would love to come, but I am scared to fly. You know what? I understand that. Let me tell you the story of my Aunt Marilyn. I love her dearly. She's gone now. She said, my life's dream is to go to Ireland, but I'm afraid to fly. I said, I will pay for the ticket. I will fly with you. I'll hold your hand the entire way. It's perfectly safe. There are 31,000 flights in America every single day, right? If you get over this fear, you will actually get to experience the things that you want to do in your life. And I'm willing to help you with that. She never got to go. So let's see. Anybody else have questions? I think that's pretty much it. If I haven't answered your question, put it in there again real quick, because can you carry a can of oxygen on the plane? No, I don't think you can, but you can probably, they probably have it in the gift shop there at the hotel, but you can certainly stop at a Walmart and get it. And by the way, a lot of people like to take the train. Some people will take the train across the country and go up. So that might be something you could do. A lot of people do caravans. They'll get 5 or 6 cars and 8 or 10 people, and they'll drive across the country together. I know a couple people doing that. So that would be cool. Are there art collectors hiding behind the rocks or trees? One would only hope. Okay. Carrie, do you have any questions?
I think I'm good. I really enjoyed sharing this, how wonderful these conventions are. And I hope that, people give it a shot and invest in their creative self, like I said. And also, this is this is something, if anybody has any questions, they can contact me through my website or my Instagrams on the screen here. If you want to talk about the basics or you want me to share anything more about the convention, as I said, I've been going every year since 2014, and I've been teaching the basics course. This will be my 5th year. So any questions, or if you want to share or you want me to give you a call back, I'd be happy to talk to anybody about what they would experience and what to expect.
As you know, I sat in on your basics course for part of the day last year, and I was just blown away by the great exercises that you were giving people. You do these little exercises on the cards that you gave everybody, and I just thought it was so helpful. You're the perfect person to be teaching this, and you were there forever if you want to be. Unless you start losing your mind and yelling at people or something.
Hopefully that won't happen.
I know that's never going to happen. You know, I had a realization during this, Carrie, that, I mean, we started out talking about plein air, and then we morphed into talking about the convention. And I realized that there's so much going on at the convention, and we haven't even touched on all of it. That you know, here we are, we've chatted about it for an hour, and I realized that we probably should just put this video on the website for the convention, let people watch it, because it really answers all those questions, you know. And I would just say this: if you guys if you're on the fence about it, if you're one of these people who's like, you know, I'll go someday, just know that someday doesn't always come, right? If you have the ability to go, you know, you might have to stretch a little to do it, but don't, you know, we don't want you to starve. But if you have the ability to go, if you're healthy, I mean, even if you're not healthy, we have people who come, some people come with oxygen tanks or wheelchairs, you know, but they want to be there, and they are brave to get out there and do it. I have people who come on my painting trips. We're announcing a new one today, that, you know, some of them, you know, they're really struggling to be there, but they do it because they want to get the most out of their life. You want to do what you need to do while you can do it. You know, I lost too many friends in the last 5 years. We had a lady who came to the Fall Color Week one year, and she says, best thing I ever did. And the next year she was gone. So, I mean, these are things we can't control. We need to do what we can when we can. Don't let fear get in the way. You know, if you're fearing crossing a border, we have people coming from all over the world to this event. We have people from Europe, people from Mexico, people from Canada, people from everywhere coming. And it is truly a life-changing experience. And I feel uncomfortable saying that because it's my event. But I've had literally hundreds of people tell me it was life-changing. And my goal is to help you live your dreams. And this is this is the highlight of my year. And you know, last year I was hanging upside down on a trapeze, doing crazy stuff on stage. This year we've got something even more crazy planned. We like to have fun, and you know, if you're stuffy and you don't want to have fun, you can still come and just say, oh, Eric, he's just being silly. But we really, really make lots of friends. And that's what this is about. If you want to be part of the plein air community, this is kind of the nucleus of the plein air community. None of this existed. If you're a young artist and you're new, none of this existed 20 years ago. And, I got lucky. I came up with an idea. I started it. I was able to pull it off, but it was just barely. And so, you know, I can't tell you what's going to happen if lightning strikes me, whether this will ever continue again. But you guys, we would love for you to come. We would be honored if you come. And we're going to make sure that you get everything out of this that you're looking for. And if you come up to me and you're having problems and you need a solution, we're going to come up with a solution for you. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to meet top artists, you're going to see the best artists, the best plein air painters in the world are going to be teaching. If you want to start out from scratch, you come to the basics course beforehand, if you possibly can. It's worth the money, and it will change everything. Harry, I didn't tell you this. What is that? Does that mean I got to go?
I'm having my roof repaired, and I told them they had an hour, but now they're starting. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I thought you were passing gas or something, or it was a foghorn.
Oh my
Carrie,
gosh.
I was going to say, the reason that I started the plein air basics course, I've told you this many times, I'll tell them, is when I started plein air painting, I wasted 5 years. This course will save you 5 years. You're still going to have to practice. You're still going to have to struggle. But I tried to figure all that stuff out on my own. It took me 5 years to figure it out. Some of the things that you teach, I never figured out till much, much later. This is really going to save you a lot of time. Okay. All right. Well, I guess the horn is the time.
Oh my God. I'm trying to text my husband now.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. So let's bring up that code one more time. And the offer is that we're giving you a plein air convention. There's a special code for you. You're going to get $200 off if you have not registered already. We're rolling back the price for 24 hours. Use the code ASL for Art School Live 200 for $200 off of the ticket. This is a 24-hour offer. This is going to actually, it's going to end at midnight tomorrow, midnight Saturday. And so make sure that you go ahead and register for that. I can't extend that. What I'm trying to do is to fill up those last 158 seats so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And we would love for you to have one. And I know they're gonna go quickly. So thank you guys for tuning in. Carrie, you're a rock star. Thank you for being here. And we appreciate your questions. And thank you guys for tuning in. See if there's any more last minute questions. Is there going to be a critique of paintings? Not today. Normally we do Feedback Friday, but today we decided to do this special thing. So my apologies. We'll do it next week. And so thank you for that question. Hugs to everybody. And everybody's making comments about your funny horn or your funny noise. Glad they're doing your roof. So, Carrie, I'll see you in a few weeks in May.
Yes,
and,
I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it. We're really excited. We've really upped our game. We have a new events team and we have a new AV team, and everything is just so much better. And we've invested big money so that our videos for our replays are better. We've invested big money so that our stages are better and our experiences are better. We built brand new kits for every room. So the AV kits, each one of those is massive amounts of money so that we have, really, really top quality AV in every room. So it's going to be a good experience this year.
Well, I'm looking forward to it and watching we get little ribbons if you're a first timer on your name tag. So we look for those as instructors to engage and to introduce ourselves to you, and feel free to introduce yourself to all of the instructors, and anybody is willing to help anybody that's new to the convention.
And me too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know each one of you personally. It's my goal. It's not easy when there's 1,200 people. But by the way, if somebody says, wow, 1,200 people, is it overwhelming? What would you say to that, Carrie?
I love when we're all in the big room together for, our morning get-togethers where we meet in the room. Oh, shoot.
It's okay.
But anyway, we spread out, and it gives you more opportunities to meet lots of people.
Yeah, and the other rooms are relatively small, so not giant crowds.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
All right. God bless. And thank you guys all for tuning in today. Again, we will have the critiques next week. So sorry to disappoint on that. We wanted to make sure we did this to tell people because we're getting a lot of questions. Have a really terrific day. Make sure you comment, make sure you share this. And if you haven't subscribed, if you're new, go to YouTube and look up Art School Live and hit the subscribe button. And we would love to have you subscribe, and follow me on social media, Eric Rhoads. And we have a free gift for you because it's about plein air painting. It's 201 essential plein air tips. And this ebook is yours by going to pleinAirmagazine.com/ebook. All right. So somebody mentioned a comment about money. Listen, I'll tell you a story. I won't mention names, but there's an artist that really wanted to come to the plein air convention because he thought it would up his game. And so he actually went out in his community and he needed to come up with a few hundred extra dollars, and he actually got people to fund it in exchange for him doing a little painting or something. So there's a lot of creative ways you can do it. Okay, guys, have a great day. Bye.
Every artist deserves a chance to discover what they're truly capable of. This is yours. Join the world's top painters for 5 days of immersive learning, creativity, and connection in the most picturesque regions of Lake Tahoe and Reno.
I enjoy the scenery, I enjoy the locations, and I enjoy meeting people.
With hands-on coaching, 5 stages, plus daily painting sessions and a community of passionate creators, you'll grow your skills like never before.
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, it's a wealth of information. I got personal instruction from 𝗤𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗶. Do you believe that? I'm so excited.
It's just awesome to hear other people talk about painting.
At Pace, you're not just learning, you're connecting. Build lifelong friendships with like-minded artists who share your passion. This is where ideas spark, creativity flourishes, and your next breakthrough begins.
I would say just go for it.
As long as I'm living and able, I will come to these. Just sign up and go.
Don't wait, seats are limited. Join us at the Plein Air Convention and Expo in Lake Tahoe and Reno. Secure your spot now.
Well, howdy, partner. Reckon you're wondering what a cowboy like me is doing talking about painting. Truth is, I ain't just here to wrangle cattle. I'm here to wrangle painters. This here's Virginia City, one of the paint out locations at this year's Plein Air Convention and Expo. And let me tell you something, it's got more character than a saloon at midnight. More textures than a tumbleweed in a windstorm. And more inspiration than a cowboy at the end of a Clint Eastwood trilogy. You'll be stepping into the Wild West with your easel in one hand and your paintbrush like a 6-shooter in the other. You want a backdrop for killer painting? You'll be painting right in the middle of an old Western town. Historic buildings, wooden storefronts, a real deal steam train, and more cowboy charm than a John Wayne double feature. But seriously, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to paint a scene straight out of the past with a modern twist. You, your brush, and the best plein air painters in the world right beside you. Now, I ain't just hollering about Virginia City for the scenery. Here's why I think y'all should saddle up with us for the whole Plein Air Convention and Expo. You're getting world-class instruction from 75 or 80 of the top artists teaching you their best-kept secrets on oil, watercolor, pastel, wash, acrylic, you name it. And you won't just watch, you'll paint right alongside the pros, out in the field, on location, boot deep in inspiration. And let's not forget about all the artists you'll meet, folks who speak your language, share your passion, and become your art posse for life. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, you'll walk away with new techniques, new confidence, and a fresh fire in your belly. And remember, you'll also have access to our Art Expo, a whole marketplace of art supplies, demos, and expert advice. You'll find stuff that actually works. No more wasting money on snake oil. Bottom line, you'll come back from this convention a different kind of artist, more fired up, more skilled, more connected.
and you'll have the kind of memories you don't just paint. You'll have the kind of memories you treasure. So what do you say? Dust off those boots, grab your brushes, and meet me in Reno and Lake Tahoe this May for the Plein Air Convention and Expo. And to make things a little bit more exciting, we're going to paint Virginia City in our finest Western duds.